Data fluency empowers people really to dig further into projects and hopefully bring some different insights that may be initially missing. I like to think about data fluency as being similar to fluency of a language. So that language could be computer programming languages like R, Python, C++, or also spoken languages like Spanish. So to be fluent means more than just being literate. So I can do a pretty good job of reading Spanish. I'm decent at reading Spanish. I took many different classes in Spanish throughout my lifetime, but it's much harder for me to be conversant in Spanish unless really others are speaking very slowly. They're being very cautious with me, kind of walking through how everything goes. So being data fluent for me means going beyond just understanding what data is and some initial steps of how to calculate summary statistics or build visualizations. And really it digs much further into being able to talk about and communicate findings from data to your peers and others. So to be data fluent means that you have the ability to talk about data and to communicate that data to your peers or someone else that maybe doesn't have quite the skills that you have, or even to people that have far more skills than you have in data. So developing data fluency doesn't mean you need to be an expert on all things data related. Just like we wouldn't expect every single person who speaks Spanish to be a professional linguist, that all they do is study the Spanish language. So it's the same sort of thing with data fluency, and having data fluency be a part of an organization allows for fewer silos to be created. So you're not going to have really only the data team and all they do is deal with data. So it allows for more citizen data scientists to be created, to allow them to apply their business knowledge as subject matter experts to provide kind of further meaning to the data, because the data often doesn't just stand by itself. It has some further characteristics. It has some extra things that should be talked about and should be better understood. So data fluency empowers people really to dig further into projects and hopefully bring some different insights that may be initially missing. So I would say I first got started in data science when I was trying to figure out how I could incorporate more programming into my classes when I was a professor. So one of the first key things is understanding where in the process someone is with their business goal. So I think just going back and asking questions is incredibly important. So have they collected data already? Do they have a clear idea of what they would like to be able to predict going forward? How has the process changed potentially from the past? Why do they think they should potentially go in a different direction? And then after understanding that basic setup, for me, it's important to focus on, what's the end goal, and let's try to work backwards from that end goal. So this helps to identify at what level the data should be, what uncertainty the person is comfortable with, how the business goal can best align with the data science workflow. And also drawing diagrams, making sure that the setup is clear, can also be very helpful there too. In my opinion, the best way to understand the context is to ask for multiple explanations whenever needed. So if something isn't clear, could it be explained in a different way? Could an analogy be used maybe from a previous project that was successful? Were there learnings from a previous project that could apply to this project? So really creating a plan involves checking in and iterating on that plan as needed. So it's rare for a plan to work perfectly from the very beginning to the very end of the project. Instead of trying to get everything perfect at the beginning, it's important to get a plan that everyone is comfortable with early on to start, but understand that things really may come up and changes could happen. So making sure to understand how far everybody is really comfortable in moving here and deviating is going to be incredibly important. So, this just goes to show understanding variability in how people are working through things is valuable, not just in statistical analyses, but also in our day-to-day lives as we work on projects.